Um, this is my lecture about my writings of these books, that is New Stalinism. Again, I'm showing you I have written New Stalinism, a highly blasphemous book, and the Quran biggest lie. For that, you visit amazon.co.uk, author Irfan Saeed. So, this is my lecture about the miracle. The miracles which are given to Jesus, Moses, Jesus, or Muhammad, the miracles given to the prophets by God are meaningless for us. So, biggest miracle is given to a very common man who is thought to be very insignificant, and in fact that miracle is the most powerful miracle, named as so what. This is the name of the miracle given to the ordinary man. So you can see that this is the my subject, and I will read that subject. It is miracle named as so what. Miracle given to a common man, named as so what, is much more powerful than the miracles given to all the prophets collectively. However, there is one myth narrated by religious people which is very, very close to reality. Once Prophet Moses, and that story starts from here. Once Prophet Moses was walking in a jungle, a lizard urinated on Moses. He became very angry and met with God and asked him, God, how you are being benefited to create such a petty creature like a lizard? God smiled and answered to the Moses, well, lizard was asking the same question to me, that God, what was the use for giving birth to Moses and how it has benefited you, the God. God became a judge to give the comments about all. However, if we ask the same question to the God, that Mr. God, if you would not have been there, or this universe would not have been in existence, then so what the difference does it make? While we all were non existent before our birth, and if we would have remained as non existent forever, then what the difference does it make? After my death, I don't know with exactitude about my fate of existence or non existence. Again, if I would become non existent forever, then there is, of course, no use of my temporary existence in this smaller bubble like the span of my present life. For me, there is no use of God's existence too, unless we presume and invent fake stories of our immortality. We cannot be satisfied with the existence of God, though God answered to Moses with the authenticity of his logic, but by himself he declined to become the subject of any criticism to the question to his own authority. I am an atheist and I don't believe the existence of God. I do not reside within the reign or territory of God. God's jurisdiction cannot reach me. I can put any question to God. I'm not under the bondage of God. I am a free man. If 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 there is if there is none to question God, if there is no one to question God, even then he must cross question to himself. If God Himself would not have been there in this universe, then what would have been the possible damage? If the universe would not have been created due to the non existence of God, then all the miseries and pains and darkness and evil would have become non existent. It is all due to the universe. It is all due to the bigger evil named God, for which all pains tortured the universe. If the man or universe would not have been created, then so what? Man's birth is very recent phenomena that is destined to vanish forever from the face of this earth very soon. While God is not a reliable creature, he has changed himself with his decision. He can change himself with his decision anytime, whatever he would like. God is whimsical, capricious, unreliable, and most unpredictable. On the smallest pretext, God becomes angry and punishes the generations for the crime of one Adam and one Eve on a very simple crime of eating an apple or a prohibited fruit. He is quite unreliable. You worship day and night and the whole of your life. If he becomes unhappy on your smallest negligent gesture, you will be thrown to hell. Your lifelong worship would end in ashes. It would ruin you. It would ruin your trust. This is the ruined history of mankind in the hands of cruel and bloody, unjust God. Man who is a robber, a rapist, a sinner, if God becomes happy, he can crown that man in the paradise. The most unjust creature is named as God. It is created by man's idea. So he teaches to his prophets and blind followers in the same and similar ways. Before my own birth, what was the significance of God for me? So let it be also in the future too. If God is so unjust, we must rebel against the greatest Pharaoh of the universe in order to teach him the lesson that at least God must have some respect for reason and logic and justice. And he should have some regard for the truth seekers called as dignified philosophers. God has absolutely no regard for these values, so we condemn God in lane of his stupid followers. Millions over millions of years past, time to infinity means nothing for me. The time passed before my birth, what is the significance of that time to me? God is telling the stories of the past to me. What to me? Prophets were given the power of miracles. Moses was also given a miracle when he threw his staff on the ground, is changed into a serpent. Jesus could restore the dead to life, and Muhammad, with just one gesture of his finger, divided the moon into two parts. All the miracles done by the prophets were said to be great. However, to an ordinary man, nature has awarded him with the biggest miracle. That is so what? Alexander of Greece was a great conqueror, a great king, but for what? But what for Diogenes? Be off from the sunlight. God always exults and boasts about his authority and power and and riches and looks so mean and petty to us. When we dare to respond in the face of colossal power and authority and say to him, to the God on his face, then so what? That is the real authority in the hands of poor, a common man, when he says, so what? Then God's head is bumped on the ground and his legs high up in the air when he listens about the miracle, about this miracle of the power. All the pride of prophets is raised to the ground when they listen to these two words. So what? Everything in the end becomes insignificant. There are great kings, there were great kings, there are great stories of prophets, there are crowns, there is jewelry, there is this, there was that. In the end, all dust and all ruins and all wilderness. So what? In the end, nothingness prevailed. All stories look so fake and meaningless. The question of so what goes to infinity, and everything becomes so insignificant. Greatest kings of this earth and God by himself become helpless when we utter this miraculous words. So what? So what is the strongest and most powerful miracle in the hands of people who own nothing? Only dust under their foot, only dust under their feet, and they can see that the fate of everything is dust. They know the reality that God is the biggest phantom hiding himself behind the veils of skies. Till that phantom is there, we will be slaves. Our chains of slavery and mental bondage will be broken the day we destroy the false image of that phantom called God. We were not there when the universe was on its journey of time in its making. For us, nothing is important because soon we will also be vanished from the surface of the earth forever. If anything is colossal, huge, or big, its effect is nothing more than a foolish surprise. The value of that colossal and magnificent object is nothing more than a virus in nature, because sooner or later it is going to meet the same fate. We common men feel proud and feel exalted and elevated while facing the boastful and blackmailing God, who remains in the company and under the shelter of many smaller gods in order to safeguard himself. God, with his army, throws many missiles against us. Thousands of prophets, his angels, with millions of blind believers, all are our enemies. But all these armies of God cannot face our single careless philosopher with only one weapon. So what? God prostrates himself when we say, so what? If you will destroy us, then so what? If you will punish us, then so what? If you throw me into fire, so what? Let us narrate a foolish story with some lesson. If religious people can be foolish in their response, why we can also be not foolish to face them? Why we cannot be also not why we can also be not foolish to face them? If the Quran can be discreet and inharmonious, then we also cannot be the same. Why we cannot, why we also cannot be the same? When Muhammad came to Arabia in those days, the river Nile and river Amazon were flowing together in Mecca. Railway lines were managed by the engineers sent by God Almighty. Near to these rivers, there was a cliff of the Himalayas where Romeo and Juliet were playing chess in those days. Elephants were climbing the hills. One day, Muhammad was swimming in the rivers with his 11 naked wives. In the same river, snakes and tortoises also resided. One snake was a cobra. He felt endangered in the presence of Muhammad, and he bit Muhammad on his foot. Muhammad became blue and died on the spot. God became angry with the snake and said, "Why did you bite my prophet? You did not know that how great prophet he was. I, the God, had created this universe only due to Muhammad, and you stupid, you have killed him." The snake was as wise as Socrates. Even Socrates was less than him. He retorted and said to the god that I have bitten a person who had spread more poison than myself. I can bite an individual, and he, Muhammad, has bitten the nations and the generations. I have served humanity by killing my elder brother as a serpent. I have said to Muhammad as my elder brother because he has inflicted more injuries to humanity by poisoning their culture and brains with wrongful thought. However, Muhammad is younger than me in the age. God, you must remember me, as I am much older than Muhammad, as I am the same serpent who told to the Eve that by eating the fruit of that tree you will be liberated from the slavery and of God, and you will enjoy the two great blessings for which both of you, Adam and Eve, in the past had been deprived by God. Those two blessings are knowledge and sexual pleasures. This time I have again bitten you, dearest soul, and killed. This time I have again bitten your dearest soul and killed him to unchain humanity from religious slavery. God, listen to me and don't try to befool me. I am as cunning as you are, God. My first question to you is, if you are God, then why you didn't save Muhammad from my range of biting, and why Muhammad had trespassed on my territory? God, try to be wise and don't try to betray the wise creatures as I am. You cannot hide your face from me, God, because you and I are of the same fiber. You love cruelty. That is the reason. That is the reason you have created a cobra like me. For me, my life costs more than Muhammad. If he is a prophet, then so what to me? His life is just nothing for me because in no way he affects my life. For me, only my life is important. I don't like that I should be disturbed in any way. I want peaceful enjoyment of my life without any intrusion from any sector. Hell to your universe, and hell to your prophets, and hell to you. You, God, what you have given to me in this life, I am always endangered. I always lived in miseries. All around I found my enemies. Is this the blessing which you have given to me? Without any reason and without any fault on my part, I have been hated, and I am the symbol of evil all over around me. Your men your who is more dangerous than me is important to you. He will reside in heaven. Let him pray in front of you. Let him admire and prostrate himself before you, because he will be rewarded by you. But what for me? Why I should praise you? Why I should bow in front of you? I have no guarantee of life forever. Soon I will die and vanish forever. For me, my miserable present existence is all for me. Why I should not live in pride and die with honor? By telling on your very face that you are corrupt and selfish God. You are mean and cheap and boastful God. You accept bribery and you like flattery. You are the most cruel creature created by man for his fanciful immortality. On the face of all cruel acts by you, yet you like to be called merciful. What a shame and deceit on your part! That is unprecedented in all of the history of the universe. When I will be killed, all the saints of the universe will be closed for me forever. What God have you given to me? Just this colorless, inimical universe? You, the cruel God, be off out of my sight. I don't care about you and your prophets. In this short life, I am more significant for myself than you are for me. Unless we destroy the demon named God living in the skies, we will not be able to achieve moral freedom by abolishing slavery from this earth. To have a belief in God is a crime. To keep holy books in houses are just like keeping the weapons of mass destruction. By betraying and derailing the humanity to the wrong direction and destination. It is all futility and nothingness. And the teaching or propagating the religions are the acts of robbery which rob the heritage of human intellectual property. Human enslavement is a heinous charge against the pleaders of religions. Thank you. That's all.